Okay, Benjamin, I'm gonna ask you one of our more telling questions for all of our interns, so I want you to, this is the one to really think about, okay? Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
When I'm 80.
Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. The gang is all here, but there's nothing that we've all seen. It's that kind of week. So Ben, Christy, and Matt have seen The Intern. I, Alonzo, have not, so they're going to explain it to you.
Matt's going to explain it.
Oh, yes, I'm going to explain it. So The Intern is a story about a internet company, a startup run out of New York, run by Anne Hathaway, who's under pressure to find a new CEO. She's very busy, and something that she apparently approved but forgot about is the senior intern program, bringing in senior citizens with business experience to learn this newfangled internet business. She ends up assigned to Robert De Niro, and hijinks ensue. Let's watch the trailer.
And I love myself. The world is a ghetto. Remember a few weeks ago we talked about the senior intern program?
Seniors in high school or college?
No. Seniors in life.
Hold on. What?
That's our founder and CEO, Jules Austin.
Any tips before I go in?
Blink.
Blink.
She hates when people don't blink. It weirds her out.
Hi, Jules. I'm Ben, your new intern.
I'm glad you also see the humor in this.
Be hard not to.
I will email you when I have something for you to do.
I'll wait to hear from you, sir. I'm terribly sorry. Excuse me.
So you're Jules' new driver?
No, actually, I'm her intern.
That's hysterical.
I'm Fiona, the house masseuse.
Ben.
How's that been?
Well, so oh boy.
Here you go.
You're not as old as I thought you were.
So you're on Facebook, huh?
I joined about 10 minutes ago.
Well, better late than never. All right, so there are all these questions for your profile that you can answer if you want to, like people who inspire you.
Jules Austin. You do inspire, Jules.
Our investors just think that a seasoned CEO could take some things off your plate.
I mean, give me CEO lessons.
I never had anything like this in my life. This big, beautiful, exciting thing that you created. Remember who did that?
Oh.
Good times.
It's moments like this when you need someone you know you can count on. Because you're my...
Intern.
Well, I was gonna say intern / best friend.
This is a Nancy Meyers movie with all the trappings.
How are
of
the
Nancy
kitchens?
Meyers. The throw pillows are lovely. And there's actually a joke about throw pillows in it,
Of
almost
course.
like knowingly as far as how impeccable her interiors are. It's nice. It's a nice movie. You know,
fine.
It's in the vein of toothless Robert De Niro performances, right? Like compared to the jokiness of like the Fockers movies, I kind of prefer him in like this vulnerable mode versus like.
Well, first of all, you can't say the Fockers movies because, well, okay, if you're excluding Meet the Parents from the Fockers movies.
The whole right.
But Meet the Parents is excellent.
Is it now?
Excellent.
Excellent?
It's an A.
It's
an
cute.
A.
It's
No.
cute.
All right, wait, we're not reviewing Meet the Fockers.
Yeah.
No, I know, but
Let's table this.
no, I got you. But it's like you can't say it's like the Rocky movies. I mean, like Rocky was great. Rocky V was an abomination.
But his shtick.
His
right?
shtick.
Him playing not the tough guy.
His playing not the tough guy. Yes. But were you praising his performance in this, or?
It's nice to see him doing something different,
Yeah.
right?
I thought he was excellent. I thought they were both
Okay.
really excellent,
Right.
and if that's the only thing that makes it in any way, if you choose to hate this movie, like if you can make a case to give this movie a 2 if you feel like it, and you could probably give it a 7 if you decide to get caught up in the rather overwhelming charm of Robert De Niro, finally playing a grandfather, and Anne Hathaway, who can be extremely charming. Like, so they are so charming that you could, I just think there's a total choice. Like, if you want to sit there and go, oh my God, this is horrible.
It's not horrible.
Yeah, but I mean, it is super, there's a lot of speeching. There's a lot of speeching,
Right, you could
this
cut-
is how life is.
Right, you could easily cut 30 minutes out of this movie.
Yeah, just by cutting like 17% of everyone's.
Yeah.
plot. No, just stop 10 seconds earlier.
Right, there's a lot of yakking going on here.
Yeah, and it's sanctimonious yakking. I mean, it's,
Right.
this is how life is going to be. And let me tell you what it is to be married for 45 years. And
He's magical. He really is.
He's a magical codger.
He is, right. But if you decide to be like, and then you could be like, no, he's magical, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, he's all right, this is all right. And I came around. I'm of the, it's all right.
Yeah, but Yellen's feature finding though, things get wrapped up so nicely. Like there's never really a great sense of tension or conflict. There's a subplot involving the husband that gets wrapped up like that. There's a weird,
which is kind of unnecessary.
Don't need any of that,
right?
Because she's got enough going on in her life,
right?
I think, but then there's a whole little segment in the middle where they break into her mom's house to help her delete and email all her little underlings.
Yeah,
it's totally needless. Like it teaches us nothing about him versus beyond maybe his loyalty, which we see in other ways. What's that whole segment about where they break into the mom's house?
No, if they'd broken into the mom's house and the cops had caught them and he charmed the cops out of it, then it might have just been another scene where he's charming to everybody. But instead, this was straight out of a totally different movie.
Right. I do like that they pulled in the music cue that David Holmes wrote for Ocean's 11 in that scene, going into that scene. And I thought that was great. That was a nice little Easter egg. Like they're doing a heist.
It just wasn't funny. That wasn't funny. That was not funny. And it was an attempt to be broadly funny, and it was silly. And then I haven't. What's the show that the husband?
Workaholics.
Two of those guys.
Which Adam Devine is
2/3 of the Workaholics.
2/3 of the Workaholics. Anders Holm, who played the husband, and Andy Devine, right?
Adam Devine.
And so and people like Workaholics, and so that Anders Holm is probably pretty good at it. I think a serious, rather egregious miscast that I thought hurt the movie, because they did make the husband a relevant player. And I just thought this movie really only worked when Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway were talking to each other, sort of growing that friendship.
Yeah, and then there are some guys who were also in the intern class with De Niro, and he's kind of like, the elder statesman and the shepherd with the wise insight. And there's some nice moments there. There's some funny moments there. I
didn't really buy any of those people in this. No? Like, I just thought that the office looked great. It was like, oh man, I'd like to work there. Turns out she can do workspaces too.
There's a moment where he's helping one of the other interns, and he says, "God, I'm like everybody's uncle around here." And I kind of wanted to see more of that. Like, I wanted to see a little bit more of his acknowledgement, like, goddamn kids, like, that he's helpful, but that's only like one little bit. And I felt this movie tries to play it a little too straight. It wants to be genuine when I think that and it doesn't mind enough comedy out of it, I think. It's cute and it's charming, but there's not a lot of real laughs in this. It's kind of, you're looking at it like, oh, all right.
There's definitely not a lot of real laughs. It's just their charm. It's just I just think, Nancy, it's that this seemed to be, how old is Nancy Myers?
50s?
No.
Late 50s?
I think 60s.
It felt to me like a 60-year-old's version of what 25-year-olds are like.
Right.
I didn't believe one young person in this movie. They were all, the men were all super sort of sexually ambiguous.
Right.
Like, they seemed like they had a lot of makeup on. They were all, but they weren't gay. That would have been, of course, fine. They weren't anything. They were just sort of androgynous. That's right.
There's also very much on that kick. There's very much a sense between the script and the direction, like, boy, we old folks still have something to offer.
We still have something to offer.
There's still something to offer.
So
hey, Hollywood, we still have a little bit to offer.
And so I really thought it was, but Anne Hathaway, and this is a real credit to her, like, she plays old. Like, she seems like a complicated, she was 50 times more complicated than anybody she works with, and 50 times more complicated than her husband, who I feel like was miscast. She wasn't in it much, but who did work in it, and because it's impossible for me not to think she worked, is Renee Russo, who's in it a little.
She's magical too. Though. She's a magical.
Yes, yeah. No, they are. But she has a line.
In the kitchen.
I want to point out, this is not Myers' first workplace comedy. She did give us What Women Want, which had the immortal line, Nike really wants to empower women.
But that off,
65, by the way.
I don't think she'd mastered the office. So it's a 65-year-old's version of the 27-year-olds at work. They're all wearing hoodies and they're wearing
kids and their internet.
Right?
Everybody have Google glasses on? Or?
But there's one scene between De Niro and Renee Russo when they're getting to know each other, and it was such a nice line where she says, "I was sick a couple years ago, but I'm better now," and it was like that was a reminder to me, like, oh, this movie was written by a grown-up. Like, that people get sick, and that's a terrible time in their lives, and then if If they're better, they want to move past it. It was just, we don't get lines like that in movies because there might be a movie about the sickness, but there's never a throwaway line about, and that didn't mean she had the flu, right? Right. You know, that means she's a cancer survivor. And it was just sweet. It was sweet. It was like a grown, like a woman who was saying, yeah, so I'm interested in moving this along. Like I have a, you know, I appreciate what life has to offer. So let's go on a goddamn date and stop putzing around.
No, there were definitely some glimmers of humanity there, but more often than not, as you put it, there's some speechifying, like people saying the exact right thing at the exact right time. And
Over
feels
for a long
stilted
time.
And false.
But they're so charming that I have to be above average.
Anne Hathaway riding her bike through the office. Because she can. That's
Adorable.
Her Red Hook factory.
It's not, the office is not big enough to ride the bike through.
And then,
it seems so silly.
And then she does it in the beginning and then never again. It's like a thing they introduced.
Right, because they were like, this set's not big enough.
Okay, so what's your number then?
5.5. 5.5. It's
I
just
wildly
fine.
disagree with you. I'm giving it a 5.5.
Okay.
I was going to give it
That's outrageous.
You're wrong.
How dare you?
Actually.
I was going to give it a 5, but for the throw pillows alone, I will add an extra 0.5, so we are all at 5.5. It is where?
It's in the 40s on the tomato meter right now. High 40s at the moment.
Take your grandma. Bye.